up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are going to be reacting to what Dan Orlovsky had to say about Detroit Lions' new running back, DeAndre Swift. He believes the Lions should use DeAndre Swift like Alvin Kamara is used in New Orleans. Let me just say, if DeAndre Swift can be anything like Alvin Kamara, there's no reason the Lions don't have the best offense in the league next season. Let's get it started. Welcome everybody to another video. Glad you guys are here. And today we are once again talking about this new running back. Okay, we're talking about DeAndre Swift, who has been the center of attention recently for the Detroit Lions, and for good reason, because he has been completely dominant so far through fully padded practices and at training camp. Yesterday, he was given tons of rave reviews for his ability in the pass catching game. His ability as a pass catcher is going to make it very tough for defenses in 2020. So we're going to look at what Dan Orlovsky had to say about that the Lions should use him like Alvin Kamara, and talk about how big of an impact Alvin Kamara has had on the New Orleans Saints, how much he has literally changed that team since he has been there, how successful he's been, and what kind of impact that could have if DeAndre Swift can play anywhere near Alvin Kamara has played so far for New Orleans. Put him out there on first down and throw him the football. I just see him utilized so much as a pass-catching threat. He is talking about DeAndre Swift and also Alvin Kamara here. He's saying, hey, just put him out there on first down and throw him the ball, okay? Use him as a pass-catching threat. Now, Dan Orlovsky believes that he was very overlooked in college, DeAndre Swift was. And DeAndre Swift didn't have tons of targets. He didn't have tons of receptions for Georgia, and a lot of that has to do because of scheme. He looks to just run the football a lot. Now, when he was used in the passing game, when he was given this chance, he flashed off the screen a lot. He flashed off the screen a ton because of his ability in the pass-catching game. And it's a huge reason Detroit Lions selected him, because I'm going to be honest here, if he wasn't available with that second-round pick, I don't think the Lions would have taken a running back unless Clyde Edwards-Helaire was there. But if neither of those two running backs were there, looking back on it, I don't think the Lions would have even taken a running back in the second round, because while it was a need, it wasn't their most pressing need. The other guys there were not receiving threats like those two guys are. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is very well known for his ability out of the backfield. Same thing with DeAndre Swift. But when you look at some of the other top guys, Jonathan Taylor, J.K. Dobbins, those guys are not necessarily known for their ability out of the backfield catching the football. They're known for their rushing ability. Well, the Detroit Lions wanted to get a guy that could be a threat on the outside, and they did that later in the draft with Jason Huntley, so they may have not even taken another running back but Jason Huntley if DeAndre Swift was not available, or Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Just once with Swift, they also did it later in the draft with Jason Huntley, who I think will have a bigger role as well. But DeAndre Swift, if he can play anywhere near the level that Alvin Kamara has played so far for New Orleans, it's going to be an absolute mess for defenses, because I literally don't know how you're going to match up. By personnel, I don't see a defense that can match up with the weapons that we have. We have arguably the best receiver group in the league. I mean, it's literally up there with Kenny Golladay and Marvin Jones, Danny Amendola, now Quintez Cephas and Marvin Hall. Now you got a guy in Jamal Agnew with that explosiveness who's looking good in practice. Then you have your tight ends, right? You had the highest pick tight end in a while. The 8th pick in the draft was a tight end going into his second year who had to deal with injuries last year. You have Jesse James coming back, all right? You have some solid tight ends. You already had Kerryon. Your offensive line seems to be getting better. And now you add DeAndre Swift to that mix. Possibly the best running back in the draft to that mix. I don't see how teams are going to be able to match up with the Detroit Lions, and they should be extremely dominant next season. The Lions have done a great job putting around weapons recently for Matthew Stafford. The best way we should do this is by looking at what Alvin Kamara's impact has been with the New Orleans Saints to see what DeAndre Swift's potential impact could be. And the thing is, with Alvin Kamara, he was possibly a little overlooked as well in college, because he didn't get any crazy amount of targets. In his final 2 years in college, they took place at Tennessee. He had a total of 74 receptions for 633 yards, 7 touchdowns in 2 seasons. Those are 2 seasons combined. Not bad numbers, but it's definitely not the receiving threat that we see today in the NFL. Because in his rookie season, he had 81 receptions for 826 yards and 5 touchdowns, and he won Offensive Rookie of the Year. So yeah, you can see that maybe he wasn't utilized too much in the passing game, or not enough, I should say, at Tennessee as he should have been. If you use them the right way, it's going to be very tough for defenses to stop. And the New Orleans Saints have found a way to master that, to getting Alvin Kamara the ball in space and also using him as a decoy to open up other players and have one of the best offenses in the league. Now, DeAndre Swift also understands that he could have possibly had more chances out of the backfield with Georgia. He said, I could have been used more in Georgia's passing game. Look at Kamara first, and then talk about what he has done on the field and where the Lions could utilize him, similar to where they could use a guy like DeAndre Swift. Kamara has put up some ridiculous numbers. He's a 3-time Pro Bowler, and he's only been in the league for 3 years. I don't get too caught up in the Pro Bowl, but I just thought I'd put in perspective for a couple of people. He has had 81 receptions in each of his last 3 seasons. 81 exactly. It's kind of weird. Every season is the same. He's had about 100 targets in every season in the passing game, and last season he averaged 4.7 yards per carry, which is actually kind of low for him. I mean, the guy has been incredible, not only in the passing game, but also in the rushing game, and he's made it so defenses had to change their strategy strategy completely just to take him on. And the problem with teams that go against New Orleans Saints is not only is there Alvin Kamara, they also have to worry about guys like Michael Thomas on the outside, arguably the best receiver in the league. So when you have that as a defense, that duo, that threat between the running back and the wide receiver is where most of the passes and where most of the touches have gone to for that Saints offense, other than the quarterback because he always touching the football, getting the touches. I mean, Alvin Kamara last season had the most touches on the team, and it wasn't even close. He had 72 more touches than any other player on that offense. In his rookie season, he had the second most touches on that offense. Now, they don't just use him as a premier back. He's not the only back that is back there. They had Mark Ingram until he left, but for the most part, they always have a second running back that takes the pressure off him. With the Detroit Lions, they have Kerryon Johnson. They kind of do it a little bit by committee, right? It's not just strictly one running back. That's kind of started to fade out of the league a little bit. I think it's still here, but it's starting to fade a little bit. And for the Detroit Lions, Bob Quinn has never been about one running back, get it done. He's been about having a committee, and he's talked about that before. So the Lions have a nice little duo mix here between Kerryon, DeAndre Swift, and even deeper than that, they have more running backs than that they can utilize from time to time to give players rest and if players get injured and things like that. What makes Alvin Kamara so difficult is his ability to line up all over the field and attract so much attention for defenses. I mean, if you watch some of the clips that I'm going to throw up on the screen, Alvin Kamara can be utilized anywhere. He can be utilized out of the shotgun. You could put him at the slot receiver position. He took over 100 he ran over 100 routes at the receiver position. You can put him at slot, you could throw him some bubbles. You can throw him some arrow routes, which honestly just gave me complete flashbacks. When I watched him do that, I just thought of Theo Riddick. And that's a good point. Let's talk about Theo Riddick for a second. The last year Theo Riddick was here was 2018. 2018, Theo Riddick put up some incredible numbers. He hasn't put up numbers like that since. Let's just keep that in mind. So we know Stafford is great with his receiving backs. Theo Riddick put up some great numbers, and it was also the second highest completion percentage Matthew Stafford has had in his career. Now, it wasn't his best season. We get that. But when it comes to completion percentage, he had a very high completion percentage because he was able to utilize the short little passes. And a team for the Detroit Lions that have historically not been able to run the ball really since Barry Sanders, these guys out of the backfield can really help because it's almost like rushing the football when you're just giving these short little passes because they get it out in the backfield, they get it out in space. They don't really have to worry about the offensive line anymore. It's kind of, hey, I'm out here, I'm going to make guys miss, I'm going to pick up a few yards. And if you pick up 5 yards, which Alvin Kamara last season, one of his lowest, was 6.6 yards per reception, if you're averaging that, I mean, heck, that's better than most run plays. I mean, you have to be on an absolute tear to have more yards than that when it comes to rushing the football. So it doesn't work all the time. Sure, you have to still be able to mix in the run, but it's also another way that you can utilize these pass-catching running backs. But his impact is what has really changed the game. You can't simply just put a linebacker on him and say, okay, we're good, he's got it. Because you're going to have problems. They can't match up with him. Just like we've heard so far with Swift, you can't match up a linebacker. At least we've seen that so far. You just can't do it. There's not many linebackers that are going to have any success doing that, especially man-to-man. You're just going to get toasted, and the offense will recognize that. Matthew Stafford, Drew Brees, those guys can recognize coverages, right? They're veterans. They can see things, and they know how to take advantage when those mismatches are out there. We've seen that by Brees. We've seen that by Stafford. So you can't just simply put a linebacker on him. Now, they tried it. They try it sometimes, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but for a lot of times it does not work. So a lot of times, about half the time, he's usually guarded by a defensive back. Yeah, crazy, right? Either a cornerback or safety, a nickel, somebody is out there covering Alvin Kamara because you can't put a linebacker on him because he's a complete mismatch. So look at this stat for a second. He ran 311 routes in a season. 149 of those routes, he was covered by a defensive back, either a safety or a cornerback. Now, that's big for a defense, right? They got to put someone out there faster. And it still doesn't necessarily mean you're going to take him out of the game because he is just still incredible. His route running, his ability out of the backfield is just insane. And I hope that DeAndre Swift kind of brings that to Detroit as well. So it doesn't mean you're in the clear, hey, just because, we put a safety or cornerback on him, we're good to go. It also means that it's going to open up other players. And that's where Michael Thomas has really come into the picture. See, Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara have been that 1-2 punch for the New Orleans Saints for a while now. And that 1-2 punch, they have gotten the bulk of the touches. I mean, it's not even close. Those two guys have gotten the bulk of the touches almost every single game. Like Alvin Kamara that can come out there and take that attention on from a secondary player, it opens up all those other players to make big plays. For example, there are many examples that you can find on the season. But when you do that, it opens up a lot of one-on-ones. It puts a lot of receivers on one-on-ones. So you see guys like Michael Thomas who's dealing with one-on-one because a lot of times you'll have a safety out there. Or it'll force the defense to go to a nickel or a dime package, which puts less linebackers on the field, which can allow you to run run the ball out of the shotgun, right? It can allow you to run the ball because you don't have as many linebackers on the field, and that's where you can take advantage of a lot of inside things. So you really don't know what he's going to do because he can do it out of any formation. You can put him anywhere on the field, he can run it or catch it. Since Alvin Kamara can do that, a defense has no idea what to expect. So you have to make sure that you have a defense back on him, but if you do that, you're allowing other players to get open, especially if it's safety. And if you're not, if you're putting a corner on him, you're probably limiting the amount of linebackers they have on the field, which can allow you to exploit that and rush the football. I mean, that presence on its own makes it so difficult for defenses. This has opened up so many things for tight ends, wide receivers, one-on-ones, deep routes, and it's been so big for Michael Thomas. Think about how big this could be for the Detroit Lions if Swift brings this. I mean, just think about this for a second. You have a guy like DeAndre Swift who could potentially leave one-on-ones with Kenny Golladay and Marvin Jones. You can't leave one-on-ones with these two guys because it's not like they're getting tons of separation, but they're two of the best guys when it comes to contested catches. One-on-one, for a lot of teams, if you don't have two great corners, you're not going to be able to slow these guys down. So now you have Kenny Golladay and Marvin Jones that are going to be at least one of them usually one-on-one. If not them and they're taking all the pressure, you got Danny Amendola who just sit over the middle. You still have your running back in DeAndre Swift who can make plays. You still got all these tight ends. And that's where the problem comes in for defense because you literally just can't match up with everybody. That's why I said I don't see a defense that personnel-wise can match up with what the Lions are doing. And for some time, that's what we've seen with the Saints. And we know Drew Brees has a super high completion percentage, but his yards per target is still pretty high. What's happened with Drew Brees is this. It's not necessarily that he's only throwing dump down, so his completion percentage is going up, but he utilizes that a ton. He will attack it until you adjust. Once you adjust, that's when he can take the shot. It's more efficient, he's more effective, and it's really tough for defenses. And that's a little bit what we saw from Matthew Stafford last year, right? He was very smart with the football, he was very efficient with the football, and he would take very good time shots. And that allowed him to put up some ridiculous numbers. Now you give him a running back that could potentially be like Alvin Kamara. I'm not saying he's going to be Alvin Kamara, but with the spot that he was drafted at, there's no reason to believe that he can't be great in year one. And we've already seen running backs that catch the ball in the backfield have extreme success with Matthew Stafford. So I'm just saying, if this guy is anything like Alvin Kamara, I don't know what to say to the rest of the defenses, or even our defense in practice. It's going to be tough. At least it'll be good practice, I guess. Yikes. Yeah, this offense should be incredible. Hopefully we see some of this out of DeAndre Swift. I don't know if they'll use him the exact same way, but man, this guy could put a push for the offensive rookie of the year. I mean, it wouldn't shock me. If he puts up numbers like Alvin Kamara did rookie year, there's no reason he can't get it. Let me know your thoughts, comments below. Thank you, Pride, for watching, and I'm out.